In this tutorial, I'll reveal 5 yet simple, powerful typography techniques that you can apply to your text layers in After Effects. These tips will help you transform ordinary text into visually appealing, highly legible, and professional-looking design. We'll use this fictionally teaser in the making for the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, featuring a stylish logo with fancy shape layers and a few titles. Stick around until the end for a bonus tip on how to create reflections using the advanced 3D renderer. But first, let's focus on the titles. We'll start with the cursive text set in Dolce Bold, the font that you can sync via Adobe Fonts. The link is down below. This font, like other quality script typefaces, offers alternative glyphs that you can audition. However, since After Effects doesn't allow us to preview these, we'll need to use Illustrator or Photoshop to assist with this task. So I'll double click on the text icon near the layer's name in the timeline, which will highlight the title and switch me to the text tool. Then I'll copy the content of this layer and switch to Illustrator and paste it over here. In Illustrator and Photoshop, if you rather use it, you can select individual letters and see glyphs alternative if they're available. So I'll choose a nicer, more expressive capital A and capital P for this text. Then I'll select the text again, copy it to memory, return to After Effects, make sure the text is still selected over here, and then paste. And now I have a much better looking title. Do I? Yes, I do, but I can make it even more legible by changing the default kerning to Optical, which re-evaluates the spacing between the characters based on what you typed and arrange them to be tighter and more natural. This works for any font, not just cursive letters. Another thing which usually works better for script fonts, but also available in other styles, is Ligatures, which is a glyph that combines the shapes of certain sequences of characters into a new form that makes a more harmonious reading experience. This is a built-in feature in After Effects, but it is hidden by default, assuming you're using the Properties panel. So make sure to click on More to see all the options for the character panel and then turn on Ligatures. Notice the T and the I in the word Artist and the T and the R in the word Portraits. Much nicer. Moving to the second text in this teaser, we see a paragraph that is currently formatted as a point text. Again, you need to click on More to see all the options, and this will expose another obscure option that was only available to artists who knew the secret handshake with text layers. But thanks to the Properties panel, it is now easy to discover. All you need to do is just click on this button, which will convert from point to box text. And this will allow us to use all the box text alignment options that were dimmed a moment ago. It will also enable 2 more options tucked in the flyout menu of this panel: Adobe Single and Every Line Text Composer. For this one, I'll choose the latter, and hopefully you can see that the text now flows better. Again, based on the content of the layer and other typography choices such as tracking and ligatures. Another pro tip to make your text look professional is attention to punctuation signs such as apostrophe, quotation, question signs, brackets, parentheses, dashes, hyphen, ellipses, colon, and semicolon. In this box text, there are a couple of single quotation marks, and to honor the Roman typography rules, we can nudge them outside the text box for better readability. To do it, let's return back to the flyout menu, and this time choose the first option, Roman hanging punctuation, which will be available only if you are working with a text box. Now this adds a small touch, but it makes the text and the artist looks much more professional. In the next title, we can see some hyphens or dashes that screams, "Please replace us with dots." Did you hear that? Okay, so let's do it by select each one of those hyphens and hold down Option on the Mac and then press the digit 8. On the Windows side, it's a longer ceremony. You need to hold down the Alt key and type 0149 in sequence using the numeric keypad. If you are here, let's also spoil this text with a simple animation preset. I'll make sure that I'm at the beginning of the layer, and then in the Effects and Presets panel, I'll look for Slide In and apply the Slide In by lines to the text. Let's preview it, and I think it looks good. As promised, here's how I made the texture reflections on the extruded logo. To achieve it, you'll need an HDR or EXR image to use as a light source. I have this 360-degree image of the orchestra, and I set it as a light source for the environment light. Then under the material options, which you can find for any shape or text layer, I've raised both the specular intensity and shininess to a higher value, 190% in this case. Now this is going to make the texture appear on the surfaces, and if you want you can also tweak the metal setting to your liking to enhance it even further. For the last text here, I'll repeat what I showed you earlier by selecting the layer, changing the kerning to optical, and enable ligatures. Then I'll scroll down and make sure the 360-degree layer is visible, because this is a solid layer with the CC environment effect that uses the same HDR image of the orchestra and project it onto a sphere. I think it's a nicer touch than a black background, but it is a bit too much. So I also added the exposure effect and tone it down, as well as add the camera lens blur effect to take away the focus, so it won't compete with the titles and the logo. I'll also drag a simple soundtrack that I made to elevate this composition, and of course turn off Draft 3D so we can see all the shadows and the reflections in their full glory. Let's maximize the frame and preview it with the sound, following by important message. So what do you think? Can you spot the difference between the outset of the video and the final result when it comes to those titles? Paying close attention to detail is super important. Let me know if you agree or disagree, and if this was useful, you know what to do. Thank you so much for sticking until the end. You are the reason the algorithm works so well. Or maybe it doesn't, who knows? Anyhow, make sure to create beautiful typography and avoid any typos if you can.